I was thinking about conversations that I had with people about the economy, and the things that I seem to remember in my own life had a lot of effect on what I saw happening in the United States. And I was talking about, initially, I'll just give a little review, and then I'm going to give you a lot more information and conversations and what I think is happening. And this is part of what I call event predictive analysis, telling you what tendencies I see coming up in the country. In the 60s, somebody told me that Chrysler and whatever the car manufacturers were starting to bring their technology, their company, their factories overseas to save money and not pay the American worker. They didn't have to deal with ecological things like too much pollution, American laws about ecology, and paying union wages. They didn't have to deal with the unions. So they decided that they can have a much more profitable business by sending it to foreign countries and paying them less and not worried about ecological standards and unions and union contracts. And that's what they started doing. So at the time in the 60s, people that are young today would never notice, but our country was really thriving. You were able to go out and get a real good job. I remember my brother, as a young man, went to Heyman Manufacturing, and they made little plastic outlets for electrical wires and things like that. And I think they were in Kenilworth, New Jersey. In Linden, New Jersey, I think there was a car plant. There was a Ford plant. And there was something like that in Metuchen, New Jersey. So they were all over the place. Factories that made various things, car producers. And I always said that the support services for any of these factories supplied a lot of jobs, clerical jobs, payroll people, security, maintenance, housekeepers. If they had a cafeteria, there'd be cafeteria workers. So it wasn't just assembly line stuff. It was all the support services as well. And again, I say when people are making money and they get good union wage jobs, they have benefits that protects their family. They go out and spend money. They go on vacations. They go to the local diner. They leave tips for the waitresses. Everybody's prospering. You have the money, you can do it. If you don't have the money, you don't spend it, and nobody else makes it from you. And money and wealth breeds money. Now, years ago, there were a lot of manual labor jobs. Not everybody is book smart, so to speak. And people cut grass, or they would plow the snow when the snow was, and they would do a construction job. They would work on a roof, tar a roof, maybe be a laborer in construction. And then all of a sudden, all these people came from different countries like Mexico and South America, and they were taking up these jobs and came as illegal immigrants to the United States. And they started taking these jobs and willing to work for much less money. In other words, if the job would normally call for $11 an hour, they would work for $7. And they wouldn't care if they made a couple of pennies more, but they wanted to work a lot of hours. They were very industrious people. They would work 60, 70 hours a week. I knew a guy in the lawn business. He said the good thing about them is they never complained. They didn't worry about a half $1 an hour or whatever, more or less, as long as you give them a lot of hours. And 1/3 of the Mexican economy is from people who work in the United States and send money back to their families. And the way they live is they'll rent an apartment that is, let's say, a 2-bedroom apartment, but 10 or 12 people live there. And they try to save as much as they can and send it back to Mexico. But it's not only the Spanish people. This happens in European countries too. Like, I've encountered people from Turkey who came in this country. I guess they overstood visa, and they would work all kinds of hours. And first of all, they're not getting tax money for these people. They don't pay taxes. And the employer, the construction guy or the guy that owns the grass cutting business, doesn't pay them taxes, doesn't claim them. He saves money. They're here illegally. They send money back to their country. And the losers is the American people. They're not paying for the street lights or the government or the army or the post office people or the, people that take care of maintenance for your town and so forth. So they're not paying taxes, and yet in a way they're getting all these services. And we have no advantage of their labor. Their labor's good. The money's going to Mexico or Turkey or Istanbul or wherever they're from, and we're not getting the tax money. And the little contractor's saving money because he's not claiming them. They're off the books. And the average American worker has lost that home market of grass cutting, snow plowing, and they got into a lot of construction jobs too. So they eliminated a lot of the people that would do those jobs. So between the outsourcing of the factories and the manufacturing and the illegal aliens, whether they're Mexican or Istanbul or wherever they're from, Romania, they come here and they don't pay taxes. And they don't support the government services. Somebody's got to pay for the street lights and the snow plowing and the police and the fire department and the army and the navy and so forth. So they don't pay for any of this. So they just send money back home from wherever they live. And like I said, 1/3 of the Mexican economy in Mexico is from money that the people send back to Mexico from the United States. So we're helping everybody but ourselves. And apparently the politicians are looking the other way. And they allowed the CEOs to outsource. And Harley Davidson just started outsourcing more. I think they're going to Thailand now. They were in Brazil and other places, and they're considered an American company. And these companies, these countries like the European Union, when they charge tariffs when they try to send motorcycles to a different country. So they want you to go to their country and make the motorcycles or whatever you're doing there, and then you save tariff money. So the American people are always the loser. They're not the ones that are gaining from all of this. And the politicians are being supported by these manufacturing people who are going out of the country. And the American people are kind of like the dupes of the whole situation. You can't get the low-level jobs because the wage is too low, and these people are sending it back to their country. And automation like the UPC codes and self-service and the ATMs, they don't need as many bank tellers. They don't need as many cashiers. Now they're having self-service at the supermarket where you check out yourself. And all these low-level jobs are all disappearing or being taken by people from out of the country. And the American work is being squeezed and squeezed more and more, where they can't take a low-level job. And even if they get a bachelor's degree, there doesn't seem to be a job that they're able to acquire. A lot of them are living at home or begging in a supermarket or something because they can't get a job because the jobs have all been sent elsewhere. But this is my take on it. I don't think the politicians are really helping the American people. I think they're just taking a couple of bucks and looking the other way.